that you're fighting for? The freedom of expression, the freedom of the right of the owners to be open? What exactly are the rights that you're fighting for?
Well, I think it's a multitude, and it can't be answered certainly in this short period of time. But I think that adults have the right to see other adults. I think that nudity is not something to be scared of. We do have First Amendment protection. Dancing is a non-verbal form of communication, okay? Just like any other form of dance. It can be highbrow dance, which would be like ballet, or lowbrow dance, which is exotic. But it still has an art form. And I think that that art form needs to be protected, and I think that people should be able to read, to see, to look at whatever they want to, as long as it is not harming society or children. And I think that there's so many people in America today who are limiting those rights of what we can see, view, look at, and we have no mind of our own.
Why do so many strippers come into the industry? How much money can a good stripper make?
That's another kind of gray question. Depending on the location, depending on the quality of the entertainer, entertainers can make anywhere from, it can be from $200 a day to $5,000 a day. I know entertainers that actually have made $1 million a year, and that's a lot of money. On an average, just to throw out a number, I would say the average entertainer probably is making $400 a day, or roughly $100,000 a year, which is fairly decent money in today's society.
Sure. And what about the owners? How much can a nightclub owner make, an adult nightclub owner?
Well, again, it's like any other business, depending on how good of a businessman he is, how he runs his operations, how he looks over operations, how he hires management. Some owners, you know, are making net profit of $1,000 a week, and I know some owners who have chains of clubs who are making tens of millions of dollars a year. So it can go from a very low end of someone making $1,000 a week to somebody making tens of millions of dollars.
On the hit TV show The Sopranos,
Right.
We always saw Tony holding court in the Bada Bing. How much is the mafia really involved in the adult entertainment business?
I think that's very, very over-exaggerated. I think that's another fantasy. It's people tend to think that because of the element of our industry that organized crime is involved. I can assure you that if it does, I have not seen it. If it exists, it is very, very, very small. The owners that I work with and sit on my board are hard-working businessmen, or have integrity, or not involved in anything of an organized nature whatsoever. Now, am I going to say that it doesn't exist? I would probably tend to say that there are some clubs that element does, but it's throughout all society, just not ours, but it's very small if it does.
How has the economic crisis affected the adult nightclub industry? Are you guys hurting as much as everybody else in the industry?
Well, I used to say that we were recession resistant, recession proof. Now we're recession resistant. We're actually down a little bit, not as down as other businesses. As people become depressed and they don't have money, they still want to drink and they still want to see women. So even though we're down a little bit, we're still holding our own. But we're finding that more and more entertainers or women who have been laid off their jobs are coming into our industry because how lucrative financially it is.
For you personally, what's the best thing about being in the adult nightclub industry?
I think that I've actually, now I was a school teacher for the Archdiocese of New York and New Jersey, so I worked for the Catholic Church. So it's a big transition to go from working with the Catholic Church to being the poster child for the adult nightclub industry. But I think I've helped more people in the adult nightclub industry to better themselves than I did as a teacher. Yeah.
What's the worst thing about being in the adult nightclub industry?
That there's a lack of organization.
That kind of drives you crazy, I hear.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we have so many problems, and you know, if we had to kick somebody in the pants, you know, for all the problems we've had, none of us would be able to sit down for a year. I believe that we are responsible for the direction that our industry has taken, and if we do not do something about it and organize and become more proactive instead of reactive, we're going to find that we're going to have a very difficult time.
Now, you seem to be the poster person for the adult nightclub industry. And with a last name like Levy, you must have people asking you, how did a nice Jewish boy get into a business like this?
Well, first of all, I'm actually Catholic.
Ah,
So my mother, I was raised in the Catholic Church. I am Roman Catholic. My is Jewish, but I'm Catholic. So
see.
when I battle the church, and we always are fighting with the church, when they see the last name Levy, they think I'm Jewish, and then therefore I have a problem with the church, but I'm actually Catholic.
okay. So, but do you get that asked that question? What's a nice boy like you doing in a business like this?
No,
No.
no, because the industry has changed so dramatically that basically there are sophisticated business people that are running these businesses. These are big businesses that make millions and millions of dollars, and you have to be a very sophisticated businessman and have a very sophisticated background in business or law to have these establishments.
What is the most important or the best thing that you've been able to do as in your association with ACE?
For me, the most important thing that I did for myself personally and for the industry was I was the first person to conduct a secondary effects study. And a secondary effects study means that to show whether our industry, whether the adult nightclubs, whether crime increases and property taxes decrease. And I did a study in Charlotte, North Carolina with Duke University, University of Maryland, the University of California at Santa Barbara with the most prestigious PhDs. And this secondary effects study unequivocally showed that crime was lower and property taxes were higher. And I actually, when I was doing the study, and I was the chairman of that first study, I thought it was going to come out the other way.
And so real estate values actually go up in a neighborhood where there are adult nightclubs?
Absolutely, because what they do is they zone us into the worst possible areas of town. They don't want us in the good area.
That.
Right, so they zone us into the worst possible areas of town. An example would be the combat zone in Boston, okay? And they had all these adults come in, and as you can see, this club that we're in talking today is a beautiful club. Millions and millions and millions of dollars are put into this club to make it a fun, upbeat, safe environment. Now, as businessmen started to come to these clubs to see the women, other businesses flourished around these clubs. Dry cleaners, gas stations, convenience stores, a whole ancillary businesses, hotels, and so it raised property values.
I have one more question, and that is, if you could have one wish for the adult nightclub industry, what would it be?
My wish is that we would become much more organized, much like Martin Luther King did in the black community, much like Harvey Milk did in the gay community, much like Larry Flint did for the porn industry. We have not come together as an industry as a whole to really explain our position, say who we are. We are decent people. We are fathers and mothers and teachers and doctors and lawyers, and we're not this criminal element that people think that we are. And I think that if we could get that word out, if we could get all the people in our industry registered to vote, if we could do those kind of things, if we could get more politically active. There are 650 million men, women, and couples that come to adult entertainment facilities every year. That's more than all of professional sports.
Well, you've certainly stated your case and done a really good job at that, Jeff. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Shar.
And thank you for joining us today. It's what we all want to be, working in America.